Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Chamberlain, the Air Force guy, RV extraordinaire, coming to you from Beckley's Camping Center today, and we're going to be talking about campground breakdown checklist. Now, I'm going to go ahead and be doing it. I have a travel trailer. What I'd like you to be able to use this for is to go ahead and tailor one that's going to work specifically for your RV. Whether you have a pop-up travel trailer, fifth wheel motorhome, it doesn't matter. A lot of the things that we're going to be doing here they're going to be the same that you're going to be doing for your RV. So just take it, modify it, and make it work for your specific RV. Okay, so all the fun's done. Your camping trip is complete. Now it's time to pack up and head back home. So this is some of the things that you want to do, and I'm going to give it to you in an order that I like to do it. Some things I feel you do have to do in the orders that I'm going to be giving you. So let's get started with this campground breakdown. Now make sure that you shut off your water heater, because you're going to want to make sure that that water gets empty, and you don't want to have it hot. Now once you go ahead and do that, you're going to want to go ahead and run a faucet until that water gets cool. We're just going to run that. It's going to be hot initially, but just run it until it cools down. So now once this is cool to the touch, you know that you're good. Now this is something I'd recommend that you do once you're done your last shower for the day. Go ahead and shut that water heater off so that it'll cool down quicker for you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so some of the things you want to do on the inside while you're getting ready, you want to make sure that all your windows are closed. Now I'd recommend that you pull down your blinds to keep the sun from coming in, because that'll damage your fabrics over time. Now for those of you that have pocket doors, be sure that you secure these in the open position before you start traveling. For those of you that have glass shower doors, make sure you have that secured. Now something else I'd highly recommend that you do is right down in the slot right here, put just get like a wooden piece to put in there, like a 1x2, so that way there as a backup, just in case that were to ever fail. Now something I do as an added precaution is I'll take my shower head off of here and lay it on the floor of the tub. The reason for that is so that it doesn't fall out. Another thing I would tell you to do is take it out of this thing. This thing is just put in here. It's something that the RVIA requires, and that's basically for cross-contamination with your toilet. And you have to understand, if it was in this, now as you can see, as you drive down the road, it is going to be flopping around in your shower, something you're not going to want to have happen. Okay, so now it's time to do the dirty deed, and that is empty the black tank. Now for those of you that are fortunate enough to have a black tank rinse, this will work in your favor, because what you're going to want to do is, if your black tank isn't at least 2/3 full, you're going to want to go ahead and fill it up to 2/3 full before you dump it. Keep in mind that gravity is your friend. Now make sure that you have the proper equipment when you're doing this job, and it's not what you think. Now for some of you, when I'm talking about putting on your protective equipment, you might be thinking something like this, when in reality all you really need is a pair of some type of gloves. But the first thing you're going to do once the black tank is full, you're going to want to go ahead and pull the valve. Now for those that have the black tank rinse, you're going to continue having the water run into the tank to continue to rinse out. Let me show you what we do here. Then you just locate where your valve is and you pull it. So you're pulling this, and you're going to be able to watch the water clearing out. Now we have the black tank rinse running, so you can see it's pretty dirty. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to rinse the black tank after we dump the black tank, to try to get the black tank pretty well clean. Now once you notice that the majority of the water has run out, I'm recommending something that you do. I'm recommending that you go ahead and close the black tank valve. Now keep in mind, that's going against what the manufacturer tells you to do. The reason why I'm telling you to do that is so that you fill the black tank. In doing so, you must remember to stay on task, because there's one of two bad things that could happen. Okay, so the first bad thing that could happen if you get sidetracked while you're filling your black tank is that if the seal on your toilet isn't sealed properly, all that garbage from in your black tank is going to be filling up the inside of your coach. Not a good thing, not something you're going to want to have. But let me tell you the good news. If that seal actually holds like it's supposed to, well, guess what? You've saved the inside of your camper. But the second bad thing is going to happen. And what it's going to do, it's going to run up, there's actually a vent tube that runs up to the top of your camper, and all that mess is going to come out all over your camper. And you know what kind of mess they call that. So make sure you stay on task when you're cleaning out this black tank if you're closing that valve. So now what I mean by staying on task is you're going to come in here and you're going to be checking the sensors. Now this thing's registering 2/3 full. I know that's not the case, it's just things that are stuck on the sensors. You can alleviate this problem by cleaning your black tank out on a regular basis when you're done camping, and then your sensor issue will go away. And we're doing it one last time. So this is a rinse, and the water is getting a little clearer, which is good. Like I say, you want to do this as many times as you feel you need to do. I can see now the water is actually running clear. So it looks as though the black tank is rinsed well. So now for those of you that black tank rinse, once you've rinsed it out and you feel confident with that, go ahead and push in your lever, throw a few gallons into your tank, put some chemical down there. That way there as you're driving home, you're going to have it sloshing around in there, keeping your sensors clean. Now that you have the black tank clean, now it's time to pull your gray. And the nice thing about the gray water, this could be your soapy water from your shower and sink. Rinse it through the hose for you. Let that go until it's completely drained. Now you also have to go ahead, I would recommend, prior to bringing your slide out in, you want to make sure that you retract your stabilizers. Remember, we did not have them extended when we brought the slide out in. We don't want them extended. I mean, when we brought the slide out, we don't want them extended when you bring it in either. So we get the front, let's get the rear. Now, for those of you that have the manual style jacks, or stabilizers I should say, feel free to go ahead and get an adapter so that you can actually use your screw gun to be extending them and putting them away as well. Makes your job a little bit easier. Okay, so now if you did your job properly, now when you're disconnecting this hose, you might get a little bit of water leaking out. But what's happening is it's going to be more from the gray water. Now I did not use, put your cap back on by the way. Okay, so now I didn't use one of those systems where you can go ahead and have it level down to where your dump station is. What I typically do is I'll just lift the hose, and what's this doing is any liquids that are in it, they're going that direction. They're not going to come this direction. And you just lift it. And it's out of the hose. So now on this one here, I actually have a second gray tank, and that's because the kitchen is in the rear. Not a big deal, so you're just going to switch your hose back here. Now for those of you that don't want to have that hassle, you can go ahead and get a Y and Y them together so that you don't have to be switching the hose back and forth. Now for those of you that have those, the system, I call it the slinky system, to go ahead and get your hose level so that it's draining, you're still probably going to be doing the same thing as far as lifting the hose to make sure that all of the water is going down the drain. Once you're done here, again, get the water out of the hose and then you need to put it away. Okay, so now if you have something like this for your sewer hookup, you will not need this piece, because what will happen is this part here should just screw right on here, and that will go ahead and serve the same purpose as this for the other ones that don't. So if you have that kind of head, that's the way to put it in. Okay, so when you're done with your sewer hoses, disconnect them and connect them back together. That way you don't have any debris going over. Now if you're putting it in a sewer hose compartment, a different story, but if you're going to be putting this maybe in a Tupperware bin or something along those lines, go ahead and connect these so you don't have the debris and things that are in them exposed to your camper. Now, before you hit the road, make sure that you take your low point drain plugs out and just set them in where the water heater door is. This allows all of your water lines to drain, because stagnant water is not your friend. It will just get pretty nasty. So recommendation, pull those out, and that's the reason why you turn the water heater off and get it so that it's cool, so you're not going to burn yourself when you pull that plug out. All right, now before you bring in your slide out, another thing you want to do, if in fact you do not have a slide topper, is get up here and check to see if there's any debris on here. If there is, you're going to want to go ahead and knock it off. You do not want that going in up underneath the rubber seal, creating some issues for you. Just get, the easiest thing, bring a broom up. If you don't have a ladder to get up on your roof, make sure you have something so you can actually get up and see the top of this. Now in the event you have a slide topper, less chance that you're going to need to worry about that. And by the way, keep in mind, if you do have a ladder, your roof can be used because it is a walkable roof. And take a look at the views that you can have while you're in the campground or anywhere you're at. I mean, this would be a great view to be watching all the people out here fishing, the horses over in the pasture and stuff. So take advantage of your rooftop. Now, prior to bringing in your slide out, you want to make sure that everything is up off the floor and make sure that any obstructions are out of the way, such as this countertop on the end, this countertop extension. That would cause a problem if you pulled this slide in with that up. So now we're at the point, we're done with the water, we're done everything. So you want to cut off the water, and then you're going to be disconnecting it from here as well as your camper. Now, once you disconnect your hoses, what I recommend you do is make sure that you get all of the water out of them. Because if you don't, and then you seal these things up, stagnant water gets pretty nasty. Okay, so once you get the water out of the hose, go ahead and lock them together, keep critters and debris from going in. Now be sure that you don't forget your water filter and your water pressure regulator. That's why that's color coded so nicely. So don't forget them. Now lastly, you want to go ahead and disconnect your electrical cord and be putting that away. Then we're going to be ready to go ahead and get the chocks out, get it lined up, get your truck lined up, and let's get ready to rock and roll. Okay, so now it's time to put in your awning. Now if you have an awning like this, you want to make sure that you readjust it. If you tilted it at all, make sure that you readjust it before you bring it in. If you have the arms that you pull down, those are not necessary. But on this one, you have the little knobs on the ends. Get yourself a ladder or something, and what you're going to want to do is loosen that and let that extend all the way, as you can see right there, before you bring it in. Leave them loose, do not tighten them when it's fully extended. Now you're going to want to go ahead and raise this to make sure that this is all the way under here. So as they're backing up, what you want to make sure is that they don't get too far back behind it. And the person that is in there, when they step on the brake, that they stay in there until you get this on the ball. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now once it gets over the ball a little, it doesn't even have to be perfect. Just let it get over the ball just ever so slightly. As you can see, it's going to go ahead and cup that ball. And it's going to go right down on top. And then you're able to lock it. Now as you're retracting your jack, do not over retract it as well as don't overextend it. As you notice, I put a 6x6 under it. I put a 6x6 under it, so that way there, it gives it a little bit more room. So keep that in mind. And then again, don't over retract it. If you have the ball mount back here, as long as you get it up at that height or a little bit higher, you're good to go. Now in the event that something happened and this electric tongue jack did not work, you have this little cap on top you can take off and you can manually retract it. Now once you have that up, don't forget to put your pin in. That'll keep it from detaching. You're gonna have to hook up your electrical cord to your 7-way. And what you want to make sure that you don't have it too long. You don't want to drag it on the ground as you're going down the road. So get yourself situated with that. So you get that put in. Your chains, you want to get those hooked on here. Make sure your breakaway is hooked on. If your chains are too long, do not twist this to make them shorter. Get yourself a bolt or some wire ties to shorten these chains up so that they're not dragging on the ground. Now it's time to check brakes and lights and signals and so forth. Okay, so now you position someone in the back and you're doing the lights. Okay, so you see the lights came on. Now you're going to go ahead and check signals. And then brakes. Once you know that's good, you of course walk down the side of your camper, make sure the lights are working down the sides as well. Now if you put the chocks right, position them correctly to begin with, they're going to be too tight for you to remove them right now. So what you're going to need to do is have somebody get in the truck. They're going to have to back up. So they're going to back up against this chalk a little bit so that I can remove the rear one, and then they can pull forward and we'll remove the other chalk. So you just have them back up a little bit. That's good. And then just have them pull forward a little bit. It's that easy. Now the last thing I'm going to need to do is pull forward to get the boards from out from underneath the tires. But before you do that, do one last walk around your camper. Check all your doors. Make sure they're closed tightly and lock them. It's especially important to deadbolt your entrance door because as you're towing, some campers you could run into the issue with all the twisting and everything going on, the door coming open. Not a good thing to happen while you're driving. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Campground breakdown checklist. Did I miss anything? Tell me if there's something else that you may be doing to add to that list. Give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm putting down here, and I'll be coming back at you again soon. Take care.